Okay, SATTVA, 1 hour practice today. You guys know the drill. We're going to switch up the practice a little bit today just to keep it fresh in the body, keen to kind of keep us on point and focused and aware of what is happening in the body this month. We have these main energy channels in the body, and I've talked about them before, but they're called nadis. So we have the physical body, and those are like our blood vessels, right? So those are like the channels that are flushing out the blood, carrying blood throughout the body. So that's our physical body. And then we have the subtle body. And in the subtle body, we have nadis. And what their role is that they carry energy throughout the body. Sorry, I'm just adding someone else here. And just like blood vessels can get excess fat built up around them, so can we get blockages in the energetic body, okay? And what these blocks are from are mostly emotional stuff, trauma, any like impurities in the mind, okay? How we work through this is our practice, is our breath work, okay? And so I feel like, again, I always talk about this, but the more tools we have to understand what our practice is doing in the body, the more likely we are to show up on our mat, okay? So if you take such good care of your body eating wise, and you're worried about like your blood vessels and the flow of energy in that sense, we also need to take just as much care of our bodies on this pranic or energetic level, okay? Gotcha? Awesome. When these blockages are happening in the body, we're sluggish, we're tired, emotionally we're drained, depression can set in, kind of all of these emotional states. So if this kind of rings a bell for you, which a lot of us, I think, go through stages in this, then we need to do extra work on our mat and through our breath work. Okay, beautiful. Let's start onto our seat today. If your seat is an uncomfortable position, welcome, Tony. You can come up onto a block, okay, or a pillow. Just place it underneath. Tall spine, shoulders down your back. Just take a moment here to check in, hands resting just comfortably onto your lap or your knees. Good, and then let's just start to flow in through the nose and out through the nose with that breath, watching it land into the body. Seeing how clear the breath feels into the body, if there's any blocks there, if it's kind of that shortness of breath, just make note, and then we'll pay attention to how this breath feels in a little bit. Good. Good. As we sit here, let's inhale our hands in front of heart center. Let's set an intention for our practice today. Allow this intention to start to move through the body. You want to feel it just as much in your fingertips, down into your toes, pelvic floor, crown of the head. Lastly, pulling into the third eye. So just that brow point. One more breath here. Okay, let's gently open the eyes, release your hands down. Let's walk our right fingertips off to the side as much as the body allows. Left arm comes up and over. Good, so push down into those right fingertips so you can extend down into the left sit bone and the left fingertips. Breathe here. So taking a bit of a slower approach this morning, warming up the body. Good, and just settling in here. Beautiful. Let's inhale back up through center and switch sides. Left fingertips come off the mat, right arm up and over. Push down through the right sit bone, reach those right fingertips. Breathe. Eyes can be open or closed depending on where your mind is at. If it's really busy, just close your eyes for these first few postures. Good. Inhale back up through center one more time. Walk your right fingertips off the mat, left arm up and over. We're moving into Ujjay Breath, so slight constriction to the back of your throat. Your breath should be audible. We want to pretend like we're breathing together in this beautiful rhythm, moving together. Good. Inhale back up through center last time. Left fingertips come off, right arm up and over. Good. Inhale back up through center. Let's take our hands onto our knees and we'll move into a bit of movement through the spine in a variation of cat-cow. So with your inhale, let's arch the spine, gaze comes up. And then exhale, curl the opposite direction. Drop your gaze down towards your pelvic floor. Good, and keep moving with your breath. So inhale, gaze comes up. And exhale, curl. Now you can move as slow or as fast here as the body allows. Good. Now you guys keep moving with this breath. So take deep, deep breaths. Move the spine. Just notice how it feels. And let's take 5 more rounds. So 5 more full rounds here. Okay, we're coming to our last 2. Beautiful. Let's return to a neutral spine. Take a big inhale. Full exhale. Okay, let's roll forward. Plant your hands down into the mat and step back into downward facing dog. So first downward facing dog of the day. Let's just ensure that we're not pushing too hard right away. So bend the knees nice and deep. Curl your tailbone up towards the sky. Push your hands down into the mat and extend through the spine. Now if this feels okay, you can maintain the long spine, then you can start to straighten your legs. Okay, we're going to create a bit of a flow, a little bit of movement this morning. So inhale, let's come forward into high plank. Shoulders over your wrists. And then exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Good, again, come forward. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Last time through, inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. This time, step your right foot in between your hands. Drop your back knee down onto the mat. Reach through with the chest. Gaze comes up. You're pulling the mat back towards you. Your back toes are tucked under. Pull up on the pelvic floor and breathe here. Good. With your inhale, straighten your back leg. Let's step back into high plank. And then push back, downward facing dog. Let's switch sides. Inhale, step your left foot in between your hands. Drop your back knee. Pull your chest forward. Long through the gaze, deep through the breath. So we are looking to create a certain consistency and flow here with the practice. Good. Inhale, straighten your back leg. Step back into high plank and downward facing dog. Okay, let's come forward into high plank with your inhale and exhale, downward facing dog. 2 more like that. Inhale, forward, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Last time, inhale. And exhale. Good. This time, coming forward with your right shin into pigeon posture. So right shin plants behind your right wrist crease. Your back toes are tucked under. Good. Root down strongly through your fingertips. Long through the spine. Okay, let's take a couple deep breaths here. See if you can settle into the body. Deep breaths. Okay, let's plant the hands. Toes are tucked under, straighten the back leg, pause, and step back, downward facing dog. And then let's switch sides. Inhale, left shin comes behind your left wrist crease. Drop your back leg, back toes are tucked under, high onto the fingertips. Beautiful. Roll your shoulders down your back, settle into the breath. So being very conscious about how we warm up the body in this practice. The rhythm of breath is the key point here. And then how we tend to hold the body. So if we're moving way too deep, then we become stuck and restricted, especially with the breath. So sometimes we need to back out just slightly to give a little more space and movement. Good, let's plant the hands. Inhale, straighten your back leg, step back into high plank. Good, shoulders over your wrists, let's lower, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good, find your feet, find your hands. 5 breaths here. Beautiful. Let's bring our gaze forward. Jumper steps to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen through the chest. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And Samasthiti, arms by your side. Beautiful. Let's give ourselves a little more space. Come to the center of your mat and take your feet hip distance apart. Hands onto your waist. Good. Tuck the tailbone. Stand up nice and tall. Inhale, we lengthen through the crown of the head. And exhale, let's fold forward. Take your fingertips down onto the mat or blocks if this is too deep. And we're going to walk both hands off to the right side of your mat. So coming off the mat. And then ground down strongly into your hands so that you can start to engage this entire left side of the body, connecting pinky toe to pinky finger. Good, let's find our feet. As we come up, we're going to come up through the side. So reach up through your hands, come all the way up the side, lengthen up, and exhale, fold forward. Good. This time, walk your hands off the opposite direction, coming over to the left. So both hands come over, root down through the mat or onto your blocks, and find equal weight into your feet. Good. Inhale, let's rise all the way up. Come all the way up through the side. Bring your hands with you. And then this time, let's take our hands back behind us. Inhale, lengthen through the chest. And exhale, fold forward. So how can we access the spine from all different angles? Waking it up, creating lots of flow there, lots of energy. The spine holds the main energy channel, this main nadi in the body called Sushumna. So this is where a lot of our work tends to lie, is in the spine. Two more breaths here. Find your feet, come a little deeper. Beautiful. With your next inhale, let's rise all the way up. Coming to stand at the top of your mat. Let's release our hands, maybe give a little shake and come back to the top. Good. Let's take a big step back with our right foot. So turn your right toes to the back of the mat, left angle towards the side. Inhale, extend through the arms. And then exhale, let's shift the weight forward. We're coming to Utthita Trikonasana. Right hand lands onto your shin, left arm up towards the sky. Beautiful. If you have more space, your right hand comes down onto the mat, and this top arm drops across your ear, extending as much as you can from your left toes to your left fingertips. Now find a rhythm you can connect to, either connecting to the music if you have the playlist going, or your breath, or both. Beautiful. Find a little more length, a little more depth here for the last two breaths. Good. Let's take both hands down onto the mat, surrounding your right foot. We're going to step our left foot in, spin around so that our toes are pointing towards the back of our mat and our hips are pointing towards the back of the mat. And we'll move into our twist. Let's take our left hand onto your right shin, right hand onto your sacrum. Okay. Or some of you are working the full posture by opening your arms up here. Now, in order for us to access the spine properly in this posture, we need first to balance out the pelvis. So start to pull your right hip back, left hip forward, ground straight down through your feet, and then move deeper into your twists. We work with the foundation or the ground up in all of our postures. Good. Stronger through the legs for the last couple breaths. Good. Let's lower both hands down onto the mat. Adjust your feet accordingly so that you're nice and stable here. Take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers, and then let's bring our hands up towards the sky one last time. Fold inwards. Good. And imagine that with every inhale, we have kind of this expansion to the outer edges of the body. We can feel this movement to the outer edges of the body, and then every exhale grounds us stronger down into the feet. Beautiful. Find your feet. Inhale, let's rise all the way up. Let's release the hands. We're going to pivot on the toes. Left toes towards the front of the mat, right ankle towards the side. Good. Straight through the legs. Inhale, first lengthen through the arms, and then shift into the posture. Left hand on to your shin, right hand up towards the sky. Beautiful. These look really good. Good, Erin. Good, Jim. Good. Now take that top arm, drop it across your ear so you have even more extension into the side of the body. And again, watch how you are approaching the posture. If this is really challenging for you, are you getting tight? Is the breath starting to become shallow? If so, maybe back out of the posture a little bit and access it with a little more integrity, a little more depth into the breath. Beautiful. Let's drop our right hand down onto the mat, surrounding your left foot. Step your right foot up. Good. So now our toes, our hips are squared to the front of the mat, and we'll move into our twist. Right hand onto your left shin. Left hand onto your sacrum, or open the posture up, opening your arms. Good, Robin. Again, we ground, we balance first, and then we move into our full expression. There's certain steps we take in all the postures over and over again. Let's release our hands back down onto the mat. Take your hands back behind you, interlacing your fingers. And one last time, let's fold forward over this left leg. Release the gaze back towards your toes so you're long through the neck. Soften the jaw and take a couple deep breaths here. So how do we start to create change in the physical body? Well, we start to put it into positions it's not used to, right? Okay, let's find our feet. Inhale, rise all the way up. Good. Release the hands, come to stand at the top of your mat into Samasthiti. Good, let's run through a Vinyasa. Inhale, rise up with the arms. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, gaze comes up. Plant the hands, jump or step back into high plank, shoulders over your wrists. Let's lower Chaturanga Dandasana, bend the elbows to the sides. Inhale, chest draws up towards the sky, upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Good, gaze comes forward. Let's make our way to the top of our mat. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Nice and strong, steady into the feet. And arms by your side into Samasthiti. Beautiful. If you're not already there, let's come to kind of the center point of your mat. Good. Take your feet hip distance apart, hands onto the hips. We're going to shift into a balancing posture. So shift all the way into the left foot. Come on up with your right knee. We're going to catch onto our right knee with our hand, or you're going to catch onto the outer edge of your right foot with your hand. Extend that foot forward. Good. Draw this right hip back into place. Stand a little taller. So either your foot or your knee, just ensure that you're proud and tall through the chest. Keep pulling that right shoulder onto your back. Good. And then we're going to come into a twist. So take your left hand and grab onto your right knee or outer edge of your right foot. Right hand onto your hip or reach it back. Gaze back if the body allows. Keep rolling that right hip down. Keep pushing your right foot into your left hand or your right knee. I know this is intense, so it requires full deep breaths into the body. We're here for 3, 2, 1. Let's come back through center. Bring both hands onto your knee or either side of your foot and fold in. If you fall out, if you come out, just join us again. A few breaths. Beautiful. gaze up, and slowly release your right foot back down onto the mat. Good, give a little shake. Beautiful work. And then let's switch sides. Shift your weight into that right foot. Come on up with your left knee, catching onto your knee with your hand or outer edge of your left foot. Good, Utthita Hasta. Now, a lot of us are kind of collapsing down like this. What do we need to do? We need to bend both knees slightly, stand up a little bit taller. Yeah, beautiful. And then keep reaching through that standing leg. We always can soften the posture and the intensity with the breath. Good. Let's switch our hands. Right hand onto your left foot or your knee. Left hand on your hip or extending back behind you. Good. Let's bring both hands back through center, catching onto your foot or your knee. Fold in. We're only here for 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Gaze up and slowly release your foot down. Good. Give a little shake. Come back to the top of your mat. Let's run through a vinyasa. Inhale, rise up with your arms. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, gaze comes up. Plant your hands, jump or step back into high plank. Shoulders over your wrists, let's lower. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. We're going to be here for about 5 or 6 breaths in downward facing dog. If you need a break, you can come into child's posture. So taking your knees wide, reach your arms out in front of you, and rest through the forehead. Good. Steady the breath. Okay, let's take 3 more. Good. With your next inhale, let's drop our knees down onto the mat. Stand up nice and tall. So stack the body here. I'm going to turn sideways so you guys can see me. Good for gate posture. Take your right foot out to the side. So right toes up towards the sky. Good. Let's take that right arm. Draw it down your right leg, left arm up and over. Good. So the biggest thing here is we tend to kind of kick our bum back behind us so we can come deeper, right? But we're kind of losing the integrity of the posture. So we tuck the tailbone underneath us and work here, slowing things down. So one thing we're always talking about in yoga is this idea of forcing a posture, right? And then we really lose kind of that whole path, that whole journey to get deeper just by forcing it. We lose all the magic in between. So we take our time. We back out. We honor the body. We honor the breath. And we move from this place of steadiness. Good. Inhale back up through center. Let's switch sides. Draw your right knee in. Left foot comes out. And then start to slide your left hand down towards your toes. Right arm up and over. Yep. Perfect, Con. That looks awesome. Good. Good. Inhale, let's draw ourselves up. Draw your knees together. If you're not facing the top of your mat, let's come to face the top of our mat. Stay up onto your knees and bring your hands onto your lower back. Good. Create a bit of a flow through the spine here. So with some moving camel. First, let's shift the pelvis forward. Good. And then just start to tip back. Bring your gaze back. So as soon as you land back here, allow your inhale to draw you back up. And as soon as your gaze comes up, then we start to shift back with the exhale, moving back into your back bend. Good. Inhale up. And exhale back. Yeah, that's perfect. Good. Good. Inhale up. And then this time we will hold back. So either keeping your hands onto your lower back, or if you're quite deep into the posture, you can reach for your heels. Once you have a hold of your heels, you shift your pelvis forward. Ground down straight into the knees, extend up into that upper back. Good. Inhale, rise all the way up. Let's sit back onto our heels. Allow your hands to rest onto your knees. Pull back so that you're curling the spine the opposite direction. Gaze down towards your belly button or your pelvis. Take a couple deep breaths. Good. Let's release. From here, let's just come forward onto our forearms. So coming into a bit of an inversion or an inversion prep. If you have a block, they might come in handy here. Your block is facing the front of your mat. Your hands come around the block, okay? So this is kind of the structure of your hands, but down onto your mat. You do not need a block if you don't have one. Good. Tuck your toes. Let's start to straighten our legs and keep your gaze forward in between your hands. Good. So for most of us, we're going to stay here and just play with lifting one foot. Take a couple breaths. And then switch, lift the other. Some of you are working your full inversion by kicking up slightly. Okay. And playing with that a little bit. So just play with it. You know, the full posture doesn't give you any extra benefits than just being upside down for a bit and lifting your legs. Okay. Good. So give it a go. Once you feel like you've had enough, you can come into a child's posture. But I'll give you guys a couple of seconds here for those of you working the full one. Good, Erin. That's so good. Keep rooting down through the hands and your elbows and keep your gaze forward. Yeah, good. Beautiful. Good, Robin. That was awesome. Good, Con. Good. Let's take a child's posture. Bring your knees wide. Come on down. Rest your forehead down onto the mat. Reach through your fingertips. Good, Tony. Good, Wilhelmina. Soften the breath. Soften the body. Anytime you take a child's posture, you want to feel like you are melting down into the mat. That's how you know you've completely surrendered here. You've let go of your control around the posture, around the outcome, and around the body. Okay, let's come walk your hands back up. We'll come back into a high plank. So plant your hands down to the mat, step your feet back. Shoulders over your wrists. Drop on the pelvic floor. Draw your belly button towards your spine, and then let's lower. Chaturanga Dandasana. Hug your elbows to your sides. Good. Draw your chest up. Upward facing dog. And then tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Good. With your next inhale, step your right foot to the outside edge of your right hand. Let's drop our knee down onto the mat. So this is step one, okay? Some of you will just stay here. This might be intense, working deep into that right hip. Step two, you work your shoulder underneath your knee, okay? And then we just continue to work here. If you want, and you're working the arm balance here, you straighten your back leg. You walk your right toes forward as far as you can until your right toes lift. You can even shift your weight forward, landing into that left elbow and lift your back foot. Okay. So you're looking at me. Some of you are like, this is crazy, right? I can't even get my shoulder into my arms. And I get that, but we all start somewhere. And unless we kind of start to practice these things, then we don't even know in our brain that we can start to move the body into these different postures. Okay, so give it one more try. Again, just working here is perfect. Good, Erin. Good. And then let's release. Good. Let's switch sides. So come back into downward facing dog just to reset. Take a big breath. And then let's step our left foot to the outside edge of our left hand. Drop your right knee down onto the mat. Good. This is step one. So if this is where you get today, this is perfect, right? We're working deep into that left hip anyways. If you're adding on, you're working that left shoulder underneath your left knee. If you want to attempt the arm balance, you're straightening the back leg. You're walking your left foot forward until all the weight lands into that left arm. Good. And then possibly shifting forward. I'm going to step back a little bit. Good. Perfect. Beautiful. Good. Let's come back into downward facing dog. So how do we approach those postures with no ego, right? No judgment of the body. This is something we can work on throughout this month with these harder postures. Beautiful. Let's bring our gaze forward. Jump all the way through onto your seat. Let's take our legs out nice and wide. Good. I know. We made it onto the mat. Toes up towards the sky. Root down strongly through the heels. And then just start to walk your hands forward. So again, we can always show up and do our postures at about 30%, right? We're here. We made it onto the mat. Kind of just hanging out, folding forward. But how do we bring a little more activation, a little more energy so we're doing the work? Well, we start to root down through the heels to start. We push the backs of the legs into the mat. Now we have a little more room to tilt the pelvis back and possibly come forward with the chest. We keep the spine long, we drop the gaze, and then we find that rhythmic breath. Beautiful. You can feel the difference, right? Of just showing up to pretend like we're doing the work or actually doing the work. At this point, we want the rhythm of the breath to not slow down. We still want it vibrant. It is what connects the body to the mind, right? We always hear about this mind-body connection. And the way to start to access this is through that rhythmic breath, that conscious breath. Okay, let's walk the hands back up. We're going to take this left heel and tuck it back behind us. Okay. If this hurts anyone's knee, just leave that foot to the front. Okay. So either or works in this posture. Good. Take your right hand, slide it down your right leg, left arm up and over. Now, a lot of us tend to kind of crunch into this right side of the body again so we can get deeper. Sometimes we need to back out, find that length. So find distance between this hip, your right hip, and your right rib cage. Yes, beautiful. And then work there. Very good. Okay, let's allow our inhale to draw us back up. And you are going to take your right foot and bring it to the inside edge of your left leg. Okay, good. And we'll come into a twist. Left hand lands onto your right knee. Right fingertips come back behind you. Right? Or some of you are working a bind, taking that right arm all the way back, catching onto your left thigh. Now, with any of our twists, we need to find a tall spine. We need to have a little more confidence and depth in through the chest, a little bit of a deeper breath. And then with all that in place, we can start to move the spine a little bit deeper with every exhale we take. Good. Let's release. Bring your gaze back through center. Straighten your right leg. Straighten your left leg. Good. Now we'll switch sides. Take your right heel. Tuck it back behind you. Good. Or to the inside edge, just like we did on the other side. Ground strongly through your left heel. And then slide your left hand down. Right arm up and over. You want to find a little more depth, you can really root down through that left heel. Push the back of your left leg down into the mat. Good. Now that's your foundation. That's your stability. And then from there, we keep extending a little bit deeper. Good, Con. Good. Inhale draws us back up through center. Now take your left foot to the inside edge of your right thigh. Good. Right hand onto your left knee. Left hand back behind you. Yep, perfect. Twist. Open through the spine. Good. A few more breaths. Sitting up a little taller. Good. Let's release. Swing your legs so that you're facing the front of your mat. Legs straight out in front of you for a forward seated fold. Good. Toes up towards the sky. Heels pushing down into the mat. And let's come on forward. So gaze can either be past your toes or down towards your knees or your belly button. And it's amazing, but in all our postures, including myself, we tend to always hold back, kind of take that safe route, right? Right where we're comfortable. So we kind of stay here. We can feel it. The intensity is there a little bit, right? But we can usually come a little deeper, kind of moving into that territory of, the unknown. The body's not really sure if it can handle being here for 8 breaths or so. So it likes to keep us safe and hold us back. The problem with that is then we always stay exactly where we are. Okay, let's roll up through the spine. Let's bend the knees. Place your feet flat onto the mat. And then take your hands kind of just slightly back behind you, fingertips pointing towards the front of our mat. So first variation here, half posture is to keep the knees bent, and we just lift here, okay, up through the sit bones. Full posture, we extend the legs out in front of us. So either with the knees bent or legs straight. Inhale, let's come up. Now, with both of the postures, I want you to really connect down to your big toes. Good. Find a bit of an internal rotation with the legs. Lift a little higher for 3, 2, 1. Let's lower. Good. Gaze up. Just take one breath here to reset. And then let's take second set. Good. Let's come up. So again, without hesitation, without thinking too much about the intensity that resides around this posture, can you breathe through it? We're not here for very long. 3 more breaths. Good. Let's lower. Let's release. Come forward. One more forward fold. It's intense in through the shoulders for a lot of us, through the arms. So we're just here for 2 breaths just to kind of release. Good. Let's roll up through the spine and come to lay flat onto our backs. Good. Let's take our knees up towards the sky. Feet flat onto the mat. I'm going to show you guys today a restorative back bend. Okay. So we're doing 3 of our traditional back bends, but if anyone has stuff that's going on with their back or they need kind of just a bit of a softer approach today, this is always extremely healing for the back. So if you have a block, you take the block and you place it right underneath your tailbone or your sit bones here. You kind of soften on the block, arms by your side, and you're going to hang out here. Okay. There's 3 different levels to the block. This is kind of the second version. Third, you come up to the highest and you feel this really beautiful opening through the spine. Okay. So this is an option. If you want to take your full back bends with me, Feet are flat onto the mat. You should be able to graze your heels with your fingertips. Arms by your side. I'm going to walk through the stages for the first one. Inhale, pelvis comes up. Push down through the feet. So step one. You can stay here. You can add on hands onto your lower back. For step two. Good. Step three, hands come beside your ears, fingertips pointing towards your heels. Step four, we push onto the crown of the head. Step five is your full wheel. Good. And we'll hold here for 4, 3, 2, 1. Tuck the chin, come all the way down. Or you're working just on the crown of the head to reset. Find your breath. And then second set. Whatever stage you're working with, let's shift into it now. Good. Even weight into your feet and your hands. Keep extending the belly button up. 3, 2, 1. All the way down on the crown of the head. 1 breath to reset. Beautiful. Last one. Come on up. We're here for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Tuck your chin. Come to lay flat on your back. Good. Find a little bit of stillness here. Seeing if you can connect to those subtle sensations in the body. So we talked about at the beginning of practice, connecting to the subtle body, the energetic. Maybe you eventually start to feel the energy flowing, shifting. Maybe you can feel where it's blocked in the body. Okay, let's draw the knees in towards the chest. Rocking from side to side. Giving the lower back a massage. And then your internal organs also massage with your legs pushing against the belly. Okay, coming to our final 2 postures. So coming to shoulder stand. Again, you can do this posture with a block. If you're looking for more of a restorative posture, same idea. Block comes under your sit bones, legs up towards the sky. Okay? Or full posture with us. Hands come onto the lower back. Keep walking them down your back. And then shift your feet towards the front of your mat so that you are stacked here. This posture will get easier as you work your hands down your back and you learn to trust the weight into the back of your arms and your elbows. Good. Let's lower our toes behind our head for Halasana. Your toes may not reach the mat behind you. That's okay. We're slowly working at unraveling the tension in the neck and the shoulders with this posture. Good. Let's slowly come down with control, with ease until we land onto our back for Savasana. It's our final active posture or resting posture, I guess you could even say, but there's a ton happening here. So legs are either straight with your feet out to the side, palms by your side, facing up towards the sky. Or if you want, you can bring the soles of the feet together, just allowing the pelvis kind of a bit of a deeper opening here for the next minute or so. Taking a couple of deep breaths to release any last tension, anything you're holding on to, and see if you can connect to that idea of surrender. So there is nothing left to control here. If we get out of the way, then things start to unfold as they should, as they are meant to. If we try to hold the body, if we try to control the breath and control the outcome, then it's a much longer path that we have to take to still get to the same destination. So see how soft you can become here, how quiet for the next minute. As you lay here in this depth, connecting to the subtle body, take a few deep breaths. You should already start to feel this shift in energy. Right? Physical body is shifting, the breath is shifting, the mind is shifting through all this work. And when you're ready, you can draw your knees in towards your chest. There's no rush. You stay in whatever posture as long as you need to. Eventually, we make our way onto the right side of the body. And in time, you eventually find a comfortable seat at the top of your mat. Good. Once we've found our tall seat, we make sure that the spine is tall, maybe sitting up onto a block or a pillow if it's more comfortable, into the pelvis, the hips, and just settle back into our natural breath. So we just always round out our practice with just one quick breathing exercise and a short guided meditation to pull it all together. Okay, today we were working with this week, but we're going to continue our work with supernatural breath. Okay, I'll explain it here once again. The breath, you're inhaling through the nose. As you're inhaling through the nose, you're pulling up on your lower three centers or your lower three chakras. So that includes your pelvic floor, hugs up, your lower abs hug towards your spine, and then your upper abs are also engaged and hugging and nice and tight. You inhale, you engage, you pull the breath to the crown of the head, and we'll hold the breath here for a count of about 4 or 5. And then exhale, we exhale through the nose, we soften, we relax the body. Okay. Now, this is a lot to think about just in itself, but if you've been practicing this breath for some time with me and you're quite comfortable here, you start to bring in a heightened emotion at the peak of your inhale. Okay, so something you're working with, it could be bringing more joy, happiness, love, whatever it is into your life. So as soon as you're holding the breath at the peak, you want to bring in this heightened emotion and fill your entire physical body with this emotion. Okay, if this gets to be too much, just work with the basics with me for the first few rounds. Okay, good. Let's take an inhale to clear. Full exhale. Good. Inhale through the nose. Start to pull up on your lower three centers. Hug them in nice and tight. Pull the breath to the crown of the head. And hold the breath here. We retain the breath for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. And then exhale, we soften and relax. Good. Take one breath to reset. We'll move into second set. Good. Inhale. Pull up on your lower three centers. Find that tightness, that hugging in. Pull the breath to the crown of the head and hold your breath here. Retain. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, soften, and relax. Beautiful. Last time through. Inhale. Hug everything up. Find the peak. Hold your breath. Keep hugging it all up. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Soften, relax, release, and move into our natural breath. If you can, see if you can keep the eyes closed. If this seems really challenging, then just keep them open, but find a drishti, find something to focus on. Good. Now, as we find our seat, let's start to shift into our meditation. If I only ever taught you one thing about your meditation, it would be that your rhythmic breath is everything, right? This is your guide. This is your teacher, is your breath. So if all you did was sit here in silence without moving, and all you did was breathe, you would be doing this correctly, okay? So as we sit here, we start to find that breath. Expanding with the inhales and contracting with the exhales. This is the rhythm of everything in this life. Expansion and contraction. And as we sit here, we feel more supported by the earth underneath us. We start to feel lighter and less tied to the physical body. We maybe even today start to move our awareness beyond the physical body into the room that we are sitting in. Once we start to move beyond the physical body, there is no sense of pain or discomfort. There is only a sense of opportunity. Opportunity to connect to this higher being, this higher self. So we sit here and we breathe. And when the mind gets busy, the mind wanders, we very gently nudge it back. And this seat of steadiness, of growth, of depth, start to bring full deep breaths back into the body. Good. Keep the eyes closed. Let's inhale our hands in front of heart center. Bowing inward and trusting this path and this process that we are on. Trying to let go of our control and find some form of surrender. Thank you very much, everyone.